Hi, everybody. So, kind of continuing on with the criminals, serial killers, that sort of thing, that are narcissists or have narcissistic tendencies. I wanted to talk about Elliot Rogers, who is the Isla Vista killer. And the Isla Vista killings happened in 2014 over in California. So just a quick warning. I will be talking about, of course, murder, um, and kind of this guy's views on life, which is kind of rough to really think about. Um, and when it was looked back upon, like through the court system and through the media, it was very much considered a highly misogynistic terror attack. So, kind of in a matter of speaking, he was kind of a domestic terrorist in some people's minds. So, Elliot Rogers, he was born in July of 1991 in London. His dad was a producer, like a film producer. His mom was an actress. He was born in London, and his family moved to LA when he was 5. His dad, like I said, was a filmmaker. Peter Rogers, he was a British filmmaker. His mother was a Malaysian Chinese research assistant, not an actress, um, for the film company. And his paternal grandfather, so his dad's dad, was actually a photojournalist, George Rogers. So it comes from a pretty good background of, being in the film industry. Um, and shortly before his parents divorced, they had a daughter. So he has a younger sister, um, that was born shortly before they divorced, like I said. Um, and his dad did remarry. I don't know if his mother ever remarried, but I know his dad did. Um, and he married a Moroccan actress. I don't, I have her name, but I don't want to try and pronounce it because I will butcher it. It'll be terrible pronunciation. But Elliot's dad and stepmother did have a son together, so he does have a younger half brother. And he had a very, very strained relationship with her. Um, it didn't really explain why it was strained, or what caused it. It just, from the information I could find, it just said that they did have a strained relationship. So, a close family friend and the family's attorney actually said after uh, the killings happened that Elliot had been going to multiple therapists since he was about 8 years old, so pretty young, for a variety of different reasons, trying to kind of, I guess, figure out what might have been going on with him, because I'm sure he was going through a lot being in the public eye. Um, and like I said, he was never officially diagnosed with anything. But there was some suspicions that uh, he may have been on the autism spectrum. He more than likely showed some signs of narcissistic tendencies. So there was some suspicion of a few things, but there was never an official diagnosis, that I could find anyway. Um, and unfortunately, at a young age, he was bullied by a lot of his classmates, and that only escalated as the years went on, which really caused him to seemingly withdraw into himself, and actually he became kind of obsessed with online gaming. And I'm not saying online gaming is a bad thing. I do it a little myself. I know I have many friends that do it. It's something that we enjoy. But if you become obsessed with it, then it kind of starts pushing a line. He became obsessed with it because it was an escape for him. So he would play games. One of his big games was World of Warcraft. Um, and he also had a YouTube channel, and he would write on a blog. And that's where he really expressed his uh, emotions a lot more, his level of loneliness, his feelings of rejection. And he wrote on his blog that he was prescribed a drug called risperidone. But from what he said, he researched it a little bit on his own, and he decided that he didn't feel like it was kind of the right fit for him for medication. So he decided not to take it. So when he turned 18, he actually decided that he really didn't want to go see mental health professionals anymore. Um, he, and after that, he really became increasingly isolated, and kind of that increasing loneliness, the increasing kind of rejection of society, in a matter of speaking, which ultimately led to what happened in Isla Vista in 2014 with his killings. He did go to college for a couple of years, tried it out. It didn't really work for him for various reasons, which college isn't for everybody. But he had continued his YouTube channel and his blog during that time when he was trying college. He tried going to university. He tried community colleges. It just never really fit for him. So then that led up to May of 2014 when all of the killings happened. And total, he killed 6 people between shooting them, stabbing, and hitting them with his car. 6 people died. I don't have an exact number of people that were injured, but there were a lot of people injured as well. And ultimately, after exchanging gunfire with the police, he did kill himself. Unfortunately, he made the choice to take his own life at the end of everything. So I am going to break down the killings a little bit. So if you need to take a step away because this is kind of heavy stuff, totally understandable. This sort of thing is not something that's easy to talk about. So, like I said, he killed a total of 6 people. He had stabbed, starting in the morning, he had stabbed 3 men as they entered his apartment building, one by one. So those people were George Chen, who was 19, James Hong, and David Wang, who were students at the University of California, Santa Barbara. And then about 3 hours after that happened, after he had killed those 3 men, he then drove to, I believe it was the sorority Omega Chi. And so he drove there about 3 hours after he killed the initial 3 men. And he tried to get inside of the sorority house, but he was locked out because he wanted to kill as many people as he could. And kind of the silver lining is he was not able to kill as many people as he wanted. Unfortunately, people did lose their lives. And when he got to the sorority house and he was locked out, there were 3 young women that were outside, and he shot all 3 of them. 2 of them did unfortunately pass away. 1 of them did survive. The 2 women that passed away, were Catherine Cooper and Veronica Weiss. They were, like I said, two of the three women that were outside the sorority house that were shot and did end up passing away. And then on his way, actually, after the sorority house, he was driving around. He was actually doing drive-by shootings, just people on the street. He was just shooting at them, trying to kill them. From what I understand, the people that he was shooting, there was only one person that he killed during that time. The rest of them were injured. The one young man that was killed was another student at UC Santa Barbara that was actually just sounds like he was having lunch at a local deli, and Elliot shot through the window and killed him. And that was Christopher Ross Michaels Martinez. So the police finally did catch up to him while he was doing his kind of rampage through the city. And twice during the chase of the cops trying to get him to stop, get him to surrender, they exchanged fire twice. So cops were shooting at him to try and get him to surrender. He was shooting back at them with the intent of hurting or killing them. And Elliot actually was injured during this time. He was shot in the hip area. And then ultimately, he crashed his car into a parked vehicle. While he was driving, he wasn't paying attention. And when cops finally caught up to his vehicle and found him, he had actually passed away. He had taken his own life with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. So all of the information of why he really did this were from a video that he had posted on his YouTube channel, his final video, and one of his last blog posts. So, in his YouTube video, he actually outlined his plans and his motive of why he wanted to do it. That he wanted to punish women for rejecting him, and he wanted to punish sexually active men just based off of envy. He was jealous of them because they were having sex and he wasn't. So I'm actually going to read a quote from his last YouTube video. For the last 8 years of my life, ever since I hit puberty, I've been forced to endure an existence of loneliness, rejection, and unfulfilled desires, all because girls have never been attracted to me. Girls gave their affection and sex and love to other men, but never to me. I'm 22 years old and I'm still a virgin. I've never even kissed a girl. I've been through college for 2.5 years, more than that actually, and I'm still a virgin. It's been very torturous. College is the time when everyone experiences those things such as sex and fun and pleasure. Within those years, I've had to rot in loneliness. It's not fair. You girls have never been attracted to me. I don't know why you girls aren't attracted to me, but I will punish you all for it. So a lot of his issues stem from just feeling rejected, feeling the loneliness, and he wanted people to pay for that. He didn't want to actively work on fixing the situation, maybe working on himself. He just wanted to make people pay. And he had also emailed kind of an autobiographical manuscript to many acquaintances, his therapist, his past therapist, and to his family. And in that it described childhood, family conflicts, for same sort of frustrations that he posted about in his YouTube video, which I believe is still online. I have not personally looked for it. I have no interest to look for it personally. his hatred of women, contempt for couples. He especially hated interracial couples. So there's some racism in there. And the plan that he had, that in an act that he called retribution for everything. And in that, he also kind of explained that the world would be, the ideal world in his mind would be women would be quarantined to concentration camps where majority would starve to death, an efficient and fitting way to kill them off. And he would have a tower in the middle of it so he could gladly watch them all suffer and die. This is where, kind of in my mind, the narcissistic traits really kind of start to show. He wanted to be the center of attention. He wanted to watch everybody else suffer for the fact that he couldn't get what he wanted. And I'm not saying he's a full-on narcissist, because you can have tendencies of something and not be a full-on, not fully have that diagnosis. That happens. Ted Bundy is actually a very good example of that, which I'll do a video on later. Ted Bundy, he has traits of narcissism and traits of sociopathy or antisocial personality disorder. You can have traits of it, but not necessarily fully be diagnosed with that. And I think Elliot Rogers is a good example of that. It blows my mind that somebody like that was willing to post outwardly that much hate without people really seemingly, taking concern. And I'm not saying people weren't, because like I said, I've not looked at the video. I have no interest in looking in the video. So people may have been like, hey, what the hell is this guy talking about? This is scary. But, people close to him didn't seem to really try to get him help either, which to me is concerning. And I don't want to speak for other people, but just kind of, looking back is 2020. So some people are probably looking back and being like, what could I have done better? So, and that is a very, very quick synopsis of the Isla Vista Massacre, and a little bit of background on Elliot Rogers. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Leave them down in the comments, and I will answer them as best as I can.